welcome to this edition of 2 Talk. Joining us today is the Emergency Communications Director for Cobb County, Destiny Davidson. Prior to her promotion, Destiny has been working for Cobb County Police Department for over 24 years. 18 of those were in the field, working her way up through the ranks to lieutenant. In 2010, she transferred to the Criminal Investigations Unit. Then she was assigned as a Deputy Incident Commander on that team. She's certified through the Homeland Security Exercise Evaluation Program, and in 2013 was awarded a Bureau Commendation for her role in the design and the documentation of the full-scale active shooter exercise at Town Center Mall. She was promoted to captain in 2013, and she commanded the Internal Affairs Unit, which handles all the hiring and background investigations for police, fire, E911, animal control applicants, as well as any allegations of serious employee misconduct and officer-involved shootings. So welcome.
Thank
That's
you,
quite an
Good morning.
impressive resume.
Thank you.
So now you are the director of the Emergency 911 Center.
Yes, sir.
So why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about what does that mean? I mean, everybody knows what 911 is, but why don't you tell them a little bit about what happens over there?
Sure. Well, the 911 Center in Cobb County is responsible for handling all emergency calls for service and dispatching for all of unincorporated Cobb County, as well as City of Marietta Police and Fire, the City of Powder Springs Police Department, and the Cobb County Sheriff's Department. So they're very, very busy.
So now when we talk about dispatching, I mean, folks a lot of times just think of the fact that, you call 911 and they send the ambulance or the police.
Sure.
But, I mean, in my visits to the call center, there's a whole lot more that goes on when that operator answers that call.
Yes. So when the operator answers the call, they get certain information depending on the type of call from the caller, and they have to prioritize the call based on the other types of calls that are coming in, and they'll either dispatch police, fire, EMS, or determine if it's not an emergency, then help them with other type services.
Now, it takes a special person to do that, because I know when I've talked to some of the operators, I mean, sometimes, most or a lot of times, you're actually talking to a person under distress, whether it be a relative or themselves that have been injured.
Absolutely.
And they have to really it's not like this person is just telling them all the information they need to know. So
Right.
What kind of training do they get?
So obviously, nobody calls 911 because they're having a good day, so they don't call to say hello. They're having usually at their worst possible moment. All of our operators are certified through the state of Georgia through POST, Police Officers and Standard Training Council. They receive CPR certification. They receive EMD, which is Emergency Medical Dispatching Training. They're certified through the telecommunications for the deaf and also the teletypewriter. They're certified to notify the AT&T language line, which allows them to speak almost instantly with a translator for well over 140 different languages. They go through a rigorous training program that usually lasts about 9 months, where they start out with their policies and procedures, and they go on to call taking training, and then they eventually go to learning how to dispatch, and then even after they're released on their own, they're still with a training officer to make sure that their training's up to par.
Now, one of the things I know that the county has done, and this is constantly being updated, is that it's kind of a computer-aided dispatch system, right?
Yes.
So why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about that?
So the computer-aided dispatch helps, it prompts the operator. It helps them track some of the units. They can track the location of the fire and police units. When it's used fully integrated, they can actually dispatch the closest unit instead of the one that may show up with the actual beat. So it's
because like the system, I remember when I saw it, it actually kind of physically shows the location
Correct.
of the different police units and fire aid units, or even now this works with the ambulance services are not county; those are private.
Those are
but
privatized.
There's big coordination between the county and those services.
Absolutely.
So now once the 911 operator, they take the call, and I know a lot of times they stay online with the person until someone gets there, right? So what's kind of going on in the background as they're having this conversation and trying to help out the person? There's a whole lot of other activity going on, right? There
is. What we're trying to move towards now is dedicated call takers, so they can actually take the call, put the information into the system, and then have a dispatcher dispatch. But on days when those positions are not fully filled, then sometimes that dispatcher is being the call taker and the dispatcher simultaneously. So we're trying to move away from that as we increase our staffing, which reduces the stress on the actual dispatcher.
Okay, now, and something along the same lines of trying to work everything together, and I know a lot of times folks will see in our agenda items about the 800 megahertz system, and that's critical to making all this work, is it not?
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about, 800 megahertz. Obviously it's a radio frequency, but what's more important is all of the, I believe all of the metro, Atlanta, Smyrna, Powder Springs, everyone's on this same system. Is
They're
that
all on
correct?
the same system, and they have the ability during critical incidents to be all patched in, so that it increases our interoperability.
Okay, so now we talked about when you said if those positions are filled. I mean, it's a very high stress job.
It
I
is.
mean, in a lot of ways, I've heard it's very similar to air traffic controllers when they have all these airplanes, say, up in
Yes.
the Northeast. So if someone was interested in pursuing a career as an E911 operator, where would they get some additional information?
All right, so interested applicants could go to joincob91.com.
Okay.
You'd receive information on the minimum requirements, age requirements, the job training program, the salary and benefits. It's critical. We're looking for people who have multitasking capabilities, which is critical to the job, and also a good degree of technical aptitude.
Okay, does it require like a college degree or?
Absolutely not. Just 18 years old with a GED. For those who are maybe going to not go straight to college or going to a technical college, there's a good schedule that can somewhat be worked around depending on if you're doing online courses and that sort of thing. But all you really need is to be 18 with a GED. And now we're offering an educational incentive pay for those who have their degree, which will be awarded on a quarterly basis.
And now, as a 911 operator, I mean, do they work? Is it shift work?
They do. It's 12-hour shifts. We have the first shift comes in at 5:45 in the morning and gets off at 6 p.m. in the afternoon. The second shift comes on at 5:45 in the evening and gets off at 6 o'clock the following morning. And then we have what they call a power shift for the call takers that works from 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. And that makes sure we have adequate coverage during the peak times.
Okay, so now what happens, we just had the threat of a significant weather event. Does anything change in the center when something like that comes along?
They make sure that make sure we have adequate coverage. We also coordinate with police and fire fields. We can actually at times have them send a representative to the 911 center. For instance, during this last event, as they were planning, they had the traffic management center open at DOT. But then we also prearranged to have a police captain or his representative come to the 911 center to help figure out which type of calls, especially traffic accidents, stranded motorists, would be handled as dispatches or held for the following day.
Okay, all right. So let's talk a little bit about you.
Okay.
So why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself? My understanding is you have a Bachelor's of Business Administration and then a Master's of Science
I'm
Emergency
finishing
Management.
up my Master's of Science in Emergency Management. I'll complete that this year. I've got one class remaining, which is the class that sums it all up.
Okay, and you have 3 children?
I have 4 children, and
Okay.
I'm preparing to adopt my 5th one from China, which will probably take place around April.
Okay. Well, I know that folks are extremely interested in, and it's such a vital component that the county offers.
Absolutely.
And I know that we're moving towards, cell phone, and, interoperability with the whole system. So appreciate very much you coming by.
Okay.
And thanks for providing all that information.
If I could add one last thing, we've recently implemented the text to 911, and the mantra for that is call if you can, text if you can't. And what callers need to make sure they do, if they're texting to 911, they need to make sure they include their actual physical address, because that is not yet recognized by the system automatically.
Okay, and speaking of that, and that brings up another point, some folks in the district live right on the edge of Sandy Springs and the river.
Yes.
And so one of the things I think that we also want to make sure the viewers know that if you use your cell phone, it's going to go to the closest tower,
Correct.
which could send it to, for example, over in the lower part of East Cobb to the Sandy Springs 911.
Correct.
And so you need to make sure the folks that kind of live on the boundaries of the county that when you talk to an operator from your cell phone that you're actually talking to a Cobb County operator.
Correct.
So, all right, well, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, sir.
After a short break of the community calendar, we'll be right back. Welcome back, and joining me now is Sherry Kell, Cobb County's Communications Director. Sherry, welcome to Talk.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm glad to be here today.
Well, so tell us a little bit about your background, what you
Well,
did before you came to
sure.
Cobb.
Well, I grew up in Carrollton, Georgia. I'm a Georgia native, and I went to University of Alabama, Roll Tide. Graduated from there, and then came right back here. And actually, my very first job out of college was at the Marietta Daily Journal as a reporter and for one of the neighbor newspapers. And like a lot of people in PR and journalism, it's a great training ground, and got to know a lot of people in the county.
You really get to kind of know the county a lot.
You do. You really get to know the county very well, and I fell in love with Cobb from the get-go. Went on to a career in PR and worked for many different agencies, and managed to, and then eventually came right back here and founded one in Cobb County.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
So the Communications Department has 4 basic divisions.
We do.
So let's tell the folks a little bit about what they do. I mean, they're obviously seeing one of them is the broadcast, which is Cobb TV.
Right.
Formerly TV 23.
Formerly TV 23. So this is one of the divisions.
Okay.
And we have a fabulous studio here, and we do a lot of broadcast in here. Plus, we also broadcast all of the public meetings.
And all of and it's all recorded. Well, it's recorded here, or your staff kind of puts it all together, and then it gets out on the TV.
That's right. They're off-site. We have state-of-the-art equipment in the actual boardroom where you hold your Board of Commissioner meetings.
Right.
And it just allows for the public to be able to watch the meetings live and then view them later on demand.
Okay, and then you have print media.
That's right. We have what we call the print department, which is kind of a misnomer because as we've evolved through the years, most everything is digital and online or electronic now, but that department is responsible for really all of the media relations. We take in a number of media inquiries every day and try to fill those requests. And we also print several newsletters. We have your commissioner newsletters.
Right, the Friday updates.
That's right, which goes out every Friday. And then we also have Cobline, which is a weekly newsletter that goes out on Mondays that details all of the going-ons and news from the county. And then we have a monthly Cobline as well.
Okay, and I know on the bottom of the screen right now they're showing how folks can sign up for the various newsletters.
Absolutely.
Which they can do on each one of their individual commissioner web
Very,
pages.
very important that residents should go online to cobbcounty.org and subscribe to the newsletters. It's a great way to stay on top of all the news and events coming out of the county.
Okay, and speaking of the web, you then have the web division.
We do. We have the web division, and we have cobbcounty.org, and then we have 32 departments, which all have separate websites, which we manage, and we have to make sure that all the websites are working properly, and that all the content is updated on a regular basis.
And then the final division, it's probably one that folks don't really think of unless they're calling the office and saying they have a problem, and that's the cable franchise.
That's right. We have a department that actually oversees the governance of the cable franchises for the county with the different carriers.
Okay. So what would you say is the, of all those 4 divisions, which one do you think takes you most time?
Oh gosh, I would say probably the print and the media relations division. We have, with all that's going on with Cobb County, we have a lot of interest from the media, and so we get a lot of requests daily for a lot of detailed information. So we have to coordinate with various departments, and everything we do, particularly with the media, we try to do so in a very efficient and transparent manner. So we do our best to get back with the media and work with them very quickly and very efficiently so that we are, transmitting everything we do in a transparent manner.
And I think sometimes folks in the media have to understand is because sometimes they'll ask to talk to one of us.
That's right.
Not only do you have to track us down, but then you have to find out if we're in the area. Like for me, example, I might be out of town.
That's right.
And then try to set up a time and a place.
That's right. That's right. In addition to providing a lot of background information and gathering the answers to the questions, sometimes we have to track people down for an interview and work to make that happen.
So now with all these various divisions, and part of the reason we have them is because the county tries to give everyone in the county an opportunity to be informed.
That's right.
What are some of the numbers, or like how many people do you think you reach out to with the various different?
Well, I know our newsletters we have over 90,000 on our newsletter list, and we hope to keep growing that every day. We encourage people to sign up every chance we get. And we have a lot of, viewership of Channel 23, which also helps get the word out. And then we know just from our media tracking, with all of the media coverage we get on a daily basis, that a lot of people receive Cobb County news via their, watching the news and listening to the news on the radio.
Okay. So let's talk about, we talked about what you spend a lot of time in. Let's talk about a typical day for you.
Typical day. Well, you have a lot of plans for the proactive things you're going to get done, and then the phone starts ringing. I deal with a lot of media all day, every day. As you know, we also have a cycle of public meetings, and a lot of work goes into knowing what's going to be on the agenda, working with the various departments to make sure that I have all the information I need. And we typically put out a press release or two at least once every week. And so we make sure that we look at it and look at the agenda items, look at what is going on with the county, and we figure out, well, what are people going to be interested in? And then we take that information, gather all the information from the various departments, and try to proactively put that information out.
Okay, what do you see as some of the difficulties? Because of course communication is one of the most important things as the county government and all that we can do. But of course, if it gets out kind of the wrong way or the wrong information, so what do you see as some of the difficulties in keeping the people informed?
The timing. A lot of things we can't announce until you and your fellow commissioners approve it's actually approved by vote. And so it's very difficult because we put out our agendas ahead of time. People in the media particularly will read the agenda item, want all the information right then before we've actually held the meeting. And so we have to temper that with, to making sure that we're happy to get you all the information we can, but until it's actually approved, it's not, it hasn't passed yet.
And I think a lot of folks probably assume that your office handles the open records request, but
That's
in reality
right.
they don't.
They don't. In reality, it is actually handled in the legal department because it is the open records are based on the Open Records and Open Meetings law. And so it's very important that it's done from a legal standpoint and is done properly in the 3-day period.
Right, which is why not, if they call the 1000 number or your office, you may not always be able to release the information because not
That's
everything
right.
is releasable.
That's
and
right.
especially if it's like dealing with litigation or
Right. That's
internal
right.
investigations and things like that.
That's right. That's correct.
So what do you think would be the best way for folks to stay informed?
Well, I think through a number of mediums, like we've talked about, signing up for the newsletter, tuning in to Channel 23, watching the public meetings. I think you can learn so much about our local government and how things pass and how things are put into action, and how development authorities or redevelopment authorities are formed, and various things that you look around you and there's so much growth going on. You can't drive down the highway without seeing,
especially not in District 2.
Yeah,
right.
especially not in District 2. And see what goes into that. There's how many departments and employees are on the ground making that growth happen. And so kind of seeing how it happens from the ground up is very important as a citizen, and being a part of that process. If there's something you're interested, come attend a public meeting. But if you can't attend, watch it at home, and then we have everything we do on demand on the website.
Right, so people don't necessarily have to watch it when
That's
the
right.
show is on.
That's right.
On TV, they can also go to the webpage and
That's
go
right.
to the TV23 or the Cobb TV link.
That's right.
And find the video on demand.
That's correct. And we also have a page on the front page of our website that's called Media Room. And that's where we post press releases. So that's another good way just to, every week or so, see what we've posted to see what's the news of the week is.
Okay. Well, hey, that's a lot of really good information. And I know that we've kind of given the folks a lot of different avenues to find out what's going on here in the county and how the commissioners and all the other departments are trying to manage what goes on. So that about wraps it up for this month's show. I hope you found it useful and a lot of good information. Just a reminder that elections are coming up, and make sure that you're registered and get out and vote. Thanks for joining us.
The Cobb County Safety Village is the most comprehensive safety training environment in the region. Located in central Cobb County, the Safety Village aims to provide the highest quality of safety education available. Primarily designed for elementary-age school children, the Safety Village provides hands-on life safety training. Education is the key to reducing risk and protecting our community and its residents, and the Cobb County Safety Village is the first in Georgia to offer this kind of learning experience. On the 8-acre site is a large multi-use education building which includes classrooms, a cafeteria, offices for employees, and an auditorium made to look like the historic Strand Theater in Marietta. There is also a station for inspecting car seat installation, a free service provided to the residents of the county by Safe Kids of Cobb County, which includes 3 mechanics bays that provide shelter from the elements as well as heat during the winter months, as opposed to before when seat checks were done outside. After walking through the reception area, visitors are greeted with what looks like a small house. This is known as Sparky's house. In the hallway, which is made to look like a street, there's a replica of a telephone booth and a small tree. Sparky's house actually consists of a living room, bedroom, and kitchen, creating an incredibly memorable learning experience that mimics some life-threatening situations that children may face in their own homes. The front door of the house opens to what looks like a regular home on the inside. In Sparky's living room, children are taught about the 3 elements of fire, shown what objects around the house are more subject to catching on fire, and then the home fills with smoke from machines and steam heats the doorknob at the exit. Children must then maneuver, crawling across the floor to keep away from the smoke, and feel the door with the back of their hands to see if there is fire on the other side. The children then open the door and crawl outside to safety. When they are in Sparky's bedroom and the room fills with smoke, the children must then climb out the window with a safety ladder and meet up at the family's arranged meeting spot, the tree outside of the house. After these lessons, children participate in a simulated 911 call, complete with a live operator answering at the other end. Children are also given classes from police officers regarding topics ranging from what to do if approached by a stranger, what to do when you're home alone and hear a knock at the door, and what to do if they find a gun in the house. Interaction and participation by the children is highly encouraged and also provides for a better learning experience. The Safety Village's goal is exactly this: teach children in a unique and unforgettable way and make it as interactive as possible, but do so in a manner that is controlled, supervised, and above all, safe for the students. The David Hankerson Education Building is only the first part of the children's experience. The Safety Village itself is a working village. The land has been paved like a small neighborhood and designed to look just like that, only on a reduced scale. The Safety Village is a child-sized representation of our county, complete with real trees, scaled-down operative buildings with signage, small street signs and traffic lights, and even model homes. Site elements used throughout the village reference those found around the Marietta Square to help give the scene a recognizable and authentic look. The site features 4 distinct areas, which are the Marietta Square, a commercial district, a residential district, and an industrial district. Since it has opened, the Cobb County Safety Village has improved the fire department's efficiency in training students by 200%. Twice as many students have been able to take part in this safety training than last year before the Safety Village opened. It is easier and requires less manpower to have a centralized location, which helps to reduce scheduling conflicts. Before, when 2nd and 4th graders participated in their state-mandated fire safety program, a fire truck with a trailer housing a far less advanced scenario similar to Sparky's house would have to travel out to each school individually and could only handle one small group of students at a time. The Cobb County Safety Village allowed them to build a more complex scenario, which teaches the children more effectively, and they have room for multiple classes at one time. Children will benefit greatly from the knowledge that they will encounter through observation and participation. Learning is essential to a child's mind, and taking part in the process is crucial. The philosophy is simple: tell me and I will forget, show me and I may remember, involve me and I will understand.
Each year, our children are put at risk by drivers who ignore bus stop arms and warning lights. In Cobb County alone, more than 1,000 drivers ignore them every day. The Cobb Police Department and Cobb Schools have partnered with Operation Stop Arm to educate drivers about the new law to save lives.
Tragically, a young child was killed at a bus stop by a passing car in 2009.
While we were being interviewed by the news crew, a driver ran through the stop arm of the bus.
We had just installed new stop arm cameras on some of our buses and were able to hand the photo over to law enforcement. And now, with the new law, hopefully we will reduce violations of the stop arm law and have additional evidence to cite violators.
Drivers who pass a school bus with a stop arm activated can receive up to a $1,000 fine from the court and get 6 points tacked onto their driver's history. It is a serious offense.
So next time you're in a hurry and you're tempted to pass a stopped school bus,
Take the bus on the bus!
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.